Richard had always been the kind of man you could count on. At 72 years old, he was the heart of his family, the one who remembered every birthday, every anniversary, every detail that made others feel seen and loved. His mind had always been sharp, his memory like a library filled with decades of laughter, lessons, and stories. But a few months ago, small cracks began to appear. It started with little things. Forgetting where he parked his truck at the grocery store. Struggling to recall the name of a neighbor he'd known for years. Mixing up appointments he had never missed before. At first, Richard brushed it off. It's just normal aging, he told himself. Everyone forgets things now and then. But deep down, a quiet fear took root. Because Richard knew, memory loss wasn't just about forgetting a birthday card or misplacing keys. It could be the first whisper of something far more serious. When he finally mentioned it to his doctor during a routine checkup, he expected a pat on the back, some reassurance that everything was fine. Instead, he saw a flash of concern cross the doctor's face. Tests were ordered. Conversations became more serious. And Richard heard words he never thought would be directed at him. Early cognitive decline. The truth is, memory loss doesn't always announce itself loudly. It sneaks in, disguised as simple forgetfulness, harmless slips that most people laugh off, until one day, the pieces no longer fit back together. Today, I need to show you what Richard learned, because catching these early signs can mean the difference between a life of independence and a future of uncertainty. In the next few minutes, we're going to walk through the 5 silent symptoms that doctors warn you must never ignore. Signs that, if caught early, can give you the chance to protect your mind, your memories, and your freedom. Stay with me until the end, because the first sign Richard noticed seemed so small, so innocent, that most people would never guess it could be the beginning of something bigger. The first sign Richard began to notice was something that seemed harmless at first: frequent forgetfulness of recent events. He would finish a phone call with his daughter, feeling good about their conversation, only to realize later that he couldn't remember half of what they had discussed. He would watch a baseball game in the afternoon and, by dinner time, struggle to recall who had won. Birthdays he once proudly remembered without a calendar suddenly slipped away, leaving him scrambling for last-minute calls and apologies. At first, Richard laughed it off. "I'm just busy," he said. "Too much on my mind." But deep down, he knew better. This wasn't the kind of forgetfulness he experienced in his younger years, forgetting where he left his sunglasses or mixing up names at a party. This was different. This was forgetting moments that had just happened, conversations that mattered, details that should have been fresh in his mind. The dangerous thing about frequent recent memory loss is how easy it is to excuse. Life is busy. Stress happens. Sleep gets interrupted. It's simple to blame anything else, and many do. But when recent memories begin to slip more often than they stay, it's a warning sign that the brain's ability to process and store new information may be starting to falter. Richard's doctor explained that memory works a little like writing words in wet cement. In healthy brains, the words dry quickly and stay clear. In a brain beginning to decline, the cement stays wet too long, and the words, the memories, are easily smudged or washed away before they can settle. Richard thought back to the moment that finally made him listen. He had promised to meet his grandson, Jake, for lunch at a local diner, a date they had planned days earlier with excitement. But when Jake called, sitting alone at the booth, Richard was still at home, completely unaware he had forgotten. The shame, the sadness in Jake's voice, cut deeper than any physical pain Richard had ever known. That was the moment he realized. This wasn't something to shrug off. This was something to face head-on. If you notice yourself, or someone you love, repeatedly forgetting conversations, events, or appointments that just happened, don't ignore it. It's not just getting older. It's your brain asking for help, a whisper that, if caught early enough, can still be answered. And the next sign Richard uncovered was hiding in something even more subtle. The words that once came easily, now dancing just out of reach. The second silent sign Richard began to notice was difficulty finding the right words, a struggle so small at first that he almost convinced himself it was nothing. Conversations that once flowed effortlessly now came with pauses. Not long pauses, not enough to alarm anyone at first, but enough that Richard felt the difference inside. He would start a sentence and suddenly lose track of the word he wanted. Common words, simple ones like remote, porch, or neighbor, slipped away just when he needed them most. One evening, while chatting with his wife about their plans for the weekend, Richard found himself frozen mid-sentence. He wanted to suggest they visit the botanical gardens, a place they both loved. But instead of saying botanical gardens, he stammered for nearly a minute, describing it awkwardly as that big place with all the plants. The words just wouldn't come. He laughed it off, made a joke, moved on, but inside, he felt a ripple of fear. Richard's doctor explained that this kind of language difficulty, especially when it becomes frequent, is more than just a senior moment. It's a subtle shift in the brain's ability to retrieve information, a disruption in the delicate network that connects memory to speech. This struggle isn't about forgetting what something is. It's about knowing exactly what you want to say, but being unable to find the bridge between thought and word. And it's exhausting. Richard found that conversations that used to energize him now left him tired, frustrated, even embarrassed. He became quieter in social situations, worried he might stumble over simple words, afraid of the looks of concern he was beginning to notice from friends and family. Slowly, almost without realizing it, he started withdrawing, a dangerous spiral that could accelerate cognitive decline even faster if left unaddressed. One morning, after struggling to explain to a friend what kind of car he drove, something he had known for years, Richard decided he had waited long enough. He needed help, and he needed it now. If you, or someone close to you, starts hesitating more often when speaking, searching for words that used to come easily, don't ignore it. It's not simply being tired or distracted. It could be a quiet, early sign that the mind is fighting a battle it cannot win alone. And the next silent signal Richard encountered appeared in the most ordinary parts of daily life, but carried warnings that were impossible to ignore once seen clearly. The third silent sign crept into Richard's life so quietly that, at first, he thought it was just a matter of being distracted. It was misplacing objects in unusual places, not just forgetting where he put something, but finding it somewhere completely illogical. It started with small incidents. One morning, Richard searched the house for his reading glasses, only to find them hours later sitting inside the refrigerator next to the milk. Another time, he found his wallet tucked neatly into a kitchen drawer where the spoons belonged. Keys ended up in the bathroom cabinet. His watch was discovered in the laundry basket. Each time, he chuckled nervously, telling himself he was just rushing, thinking of too many things at once. Everybody misplaces things, he reassured himself. But the pattern grew. It wasn't just losing objects, it was placing them where they had no reason to be. And when he found them, he often couldn't remember even a glimpse of the action. No memory of carrying the glasses to the fridge, no reason the wallet should have ended up by the silverware. Richard's doctor explained that this kind of behavior is a deeper warning. When the brain's memory and organizational systems begin to break down, everyday routines, the automatic habits that used to guide us effortlessly, start to falter. The mind can no longer consistently link an object with its logical place or remember the simple, unconscious steps that used to be second nature. This kind of misplacement can also lead to moments of fear and frustration. Richard vividly remembered the morning he couldn't find his truck keys and convinced himself someone must have stolen them. The panic, the anger, the confusion, it left him shaken for the rest of the day. Hours later, he found the keys sitting calmly inside the pocket of his bathrobe, hanging behind the bathroom door. These episodes weren't just funny little mistakes. They were signs that his brain was working harder than it should to manage simple tasks. signs that if left unchecked could spiral into bigger dangers, like wandering, getting lost, or forgetting essential responsibilities. If you notice yourself or a loved one misplacing objects in strange locations and struggling to retrace the steps, it's not simply being forgetful. It's the mind sending out a quiet, desperate signal that something is changing and it's time to act. For Richard, recognizing these patterns was painful, but it was also empowering, because once you see the signs, you can start fighting for your future. And the next sign Richard uncovered was even more disorienting, reaching beyond memory and into the way he understood time and space itself. The fourth silent sign Richard couldn't ignore any longer was confusion about time or place, a disorienting feeling that struck him when he least expected it. It began subtly. One afternoon, Richard sat on his porch, enjoying a cool breeze, when a strange thought crept in. For a few minutes, he wasn't sure if it was Saturday or Sunday. He tried to piece it together, thinking back to what he had done the day before, but the sequence of events blurred in his mind like smudged ink on a page. Another time, he drove to his favorite diner, the same diner he had visited every Thursday morning for years. But as he turned on a main street, he hesitated, unsure for a moment which way to go. The streets looked familiar, yet unfamiliar. He gripped the steering wheel harder, feeling a wave of anxiety rise in his chest. Richard had never gotten lost before, not in his own town, not on streets he could have navigated with his eyes closed only months earlier. At first, he told himself it was fatigue, maybe too much on his mind. But the confusion began to happen more often. Days of the week blurred together. Appointments were missed because he misjudged the time. Once, he arrived at the doctor's office an entire day early, puzzled and embarrassed when the receptionist gently explained the mistake. His doctor later explained that confusion about time and place is a critical early sign of cognitive decline. The brain's ability to keep track of sequence, routine, and spatial relationships starts to erode, leading to moments of disorientation that can quickly become dangerous. Richard realized how easily he could have wandered farther that day on Main Street, how easily a small moment of confusion could have turned into getting lost, frightened, alone, unsure how to find his way back. The truth was sobering. Confusion doesn't announce itself loudly. It sneaks into the corners of the mind, making the familiar feel foreign, turning the solid ground beneath your feet into shifting sand. Recognizing this pattern was a wake-up call. Richard knew he couldn't afford to wait for the confusion to grow worse. He needed help. Not tomorrow, not next month, but now. If you or someone you love begins to show signs of losing track of time, forgetting where they are, or feeling momentarily lost in familiar places, take it seriously. It's not just distraction. It's the mind's early cry for support. And the next change Richard faced was not in what he remembered or where he was, but in the very way he felt about himself and the world around him. The fifth silent sign that caught Richard and everyone around him by surprise was changes in mood or personality. Richard had always been a steady, easygoing man, the kind who found joy in small things, a good meal, a quiet afternoon fishing, a long talk with an old friend. He was known for his patience, his warm chuckles, and the way he made people feel at ease. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, that began to change. Small frustrations that once rolled off his back now stuck with him, gnawing at his mood. He became quicker to snap at minor inconveniences, grumbling over a misplaced remote, showing irritation when dinner plans shifted unexpectedly. There were evenings when he sat in silence, withdrawn and brooding, a shadow of the cheerful man his family had always known. At first, his wife thought it was the long winter or maybe a touch of cabin fever. But as spring came and the sun returned, Richard's heaviness remained. Moments that should have brought happiness, birthday parties, visits from grandchildren, seemed to overwhelm him instead of lifting his spirits. Richard's doctor explained that mood and personality changes are often among the earliest, and most overlooked symptoms of cognitive decline. The brain, struggling with memory and orientation, can react with frustration, anxiety, irritability, or even apathy. It's not a conscious choice. It's the mind fighting to maintain control while quietly slipping away. For Richard, it wasn't just about feeling sad or angry. It was about feeling disconnected from himself, unable to understand why the world around him suddenly felt more confusing, more demanding, more exhausting. He vividly remembered one afternoon when he lost his temper over a broken coffee maker, something that, in the past, would have been nothing more than a minor annoyance. The look of worry on his wife's face pierced through his anger, leaving him hollow and ashamed. That day, Richard realized that the fight wasn't just against memory loss. It was a fight to hold on to the parts of himself he loved most: his patience, his kindness, his joy. If you notice sudden or unexplained changes in mood, behavior, or personality, in yourself or someone you love, don't dismiss it as having a bad day. It could be the mind's way of expressing a deeper struggle that words can't yet explain. And as Richard learned, recognizing these signs early can open a door to hope, to treatments, support, and strategies that help preserve not just memory, but dignity, connection, and life itself. Because the most dangerous thing about these early signs isn't how they appear, it's how easy they are to ignore. And before we end today, there's one final truth Richard wants you to hear, one that could make all the difference for your future. If you're still here with me, it means you care, just like Richard did. And that choice, to stay aware, to stay willing to face uncomfortable truths, is one of the bravest and most powerful decisions you can make. Richard's story could have gone differently. He could have ignored the signs. He could have continued laughing off the forgetfulness, excusing the confusion, hiding the moments of frustration. And slowly, quietly, he could have lost more than just memories. He could have lost himself. But Richard chose another path. He chose to listen to the whispers before they turned into shouts. He chose to seek help, to make changes, to fight for the life he loved and the family that loved him. Today, Richard still enjoys his morning coffee, his porch talks, his fishing trips. He lives with more awareness, more intentionality, and more gratitude for every clear, beautiful day he's given. And you deserve the same. Every time you pay attention to these early signs, every time you choose to act instead of waiting, you honor your mind, your memories, your incredible life story. You protect not just your independence, but your laughter, your connections, your chance to keep building beautiful new memories for years to come. If anything we talked about today felt familiar, if you saw even a glimpse of your own story or that of someone you love, please don't brush it aside. Talk to your doctor. Ask questions. Get checked. The earlier you act, the stronger your chances of preserving the life you love. And if you found this video helpful, if Richard's journey touched your heart, I invite you to stay connected with us. Subscribe to our channel, like this video, and leave a comment sharing your experience or even just a word of encouragement to others walking the same path. Together, we can build a community where wisdom is cherished, hope is shared, and no one faces these challenges alone. Thank you for being here with me today. Thank you for caring enough to listen. Take care of your mind. It's the treasure chest of every memory, every lesson, every moment that makes your life uniquely yours. Until next time, stay strong, stay wise, and always believe that your best years can still be ahead.